Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to more to do with the US, Israel, Iran conflict going on right now. I've seen like some updates, and this is from yesterday, and I've not looked into it properly, but I saw that Iran attacking US airbase in Qatar or something like that, but they didn't fully attack it. They sort of, like, the explosions were not meant to have contact with the ground or something. I don't really know. I think it's to send like a signal to the US or something. I don't know what the plan was. I know since then some sort of agreement, some ceasefire agreement's been agreed, but then I've seen stuff saying that either side aren't adhering to it or whatever. It's getting pretty intense. I mean, it has been getting intense for quite a long time now, but I do want to look into what the specifics of this are, because I don't understand why Iran would send missiles to this base but then not attack it. I mean, I understand why. They probably don't want to get bombarded by US missiles themselves, etc. But I do want to see what specifically is the reasoning behind this, and yeah, to look more into this. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. This is obviously quite a heated thing going on right now, but it's changing on a day-to-day basis or an hour-to-hour basis. By the time this reaction goes out, a lot could have changed, but we're going to jump into this and see what is going on and get a full update of the situation.
This is BBC News, our latest headlines. Iran has launched missiles at a key US airbase in Qatar. Retaliation, it says, for the recent American bombing of its nuclear sites ordered by President Trump. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have released these images and issued a statement saying Iran will not leave any attack on its territorial integrity, sovereignty and national security unanswered under any circumstances. Qatar confirmed the attack on the US base Al Udeid. Well, Qatar called it a flagrant violation and said it reserves the right to respond directly. There are
Qatar? Oh shit.
Reports Iran may have telegraphed the attack in advance to Qatar and even to the United States, with indications this was a largely symbolic, choreographed missile strike. Right. Iran says 6 missiles were used.
Why?
Well, Al Udeid is the largest US military base in the Middle East, the forward operating base of US Central Command in the Middle East, and home to nearly 8,000 American troops. President Trump visited it only a few weeks ago. The Pentagon says the base was attacked by short and medium-range ballistic missiles launched from Iran, but there are no reports, it says, of US casualties.
Okay.
Well, meanwhile, in Washington, Donald Trump is due to attend a National Security Council meeting.
So what, is this just to show, is it Iran just trying to show that they've got the ability to attack the bases? Is that just sort of what they're showing? I assume that's probably the case, right? But I do wonder, like, with everything going on, I do wonder why this. I say wonder. I know why, because they're probably very aware of what the US will retaliate with if they did actually attack this. Because 8,000 Americans there, bro, that would be that would cause some insane response, man, from the US. So I assume they're not actually wanting to attack it, although I could be wrong. I don't fully know, but yeah, maybe it's just to show that they can attack it if they want.
Shortly after the bombing of Iran that he ordered, and he had said that any retaliation by Iran would be, quote, met by force far greater. So now the question is, how will he respond to these Iranian attacks that we've just been telling you about? Well, let's get the very latest now. Joining us is John Donnison, who's in Washington, Ione Wells, who's in Jerusalem, and Nafiseh Konavad, who's in Baghdad. John, let's go to you first of all. All eyes really on Donald Trump now to see how he responds to this response from Iran.
Yes, and as you say, everyone wants to know the answer to that, and I don't think
So I think he responded, what, with saying there's going to be a ceasefire? I think that's what I've seen.
Can give that. We're going to have to wait and see, but certainly since these attacks were launched, it does seem that they were somewhat telegraphed. There was some sort of warning, and we've actually just had the Republican Speaker of the House of Representatives here saying that this sort of response from Iran was anticipated, and given that there are no casualties reported on the ground, no US servicemen injured or killed. We don't even know whether any of these missiles from Iran met their target. I do think that certainly the Iranians are giving a signal that, you know, this might be some sort of off-ramp. Everyone, as the previous guest here on BBC World was saying, is playing to their domestic audience. That's what Donald Trump has got to do. That's what the Qataris are doing, the Israelis and the Iranians. So the Iranians, they needed to send a signal that what America did on Saturday evening, the early hours of Sunday morning, couldn't be met without some sort of response. But it does seem that this was relatively moderate in terms of the damage it's done.
John, for the moment, thank you very much indeed. Let's go to Ione Wells, who's covering events in Israel for us. Ione, what is the reaction in Israel to what we've been hearing about these Iranian attacks on this US base in Qatar?
Oh. Continued carrying out further strikes on Iran. They see this sort of wider target and as something they need to continue doing. They've said just this evening as well that they have been striking further military targets, including the headquarters of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, but also other targets that they say are associated with the regime, including a prison, which it's understood was where various political prisoners were detained in Iran, people who had, for example, opposed the Iranian leadership. Israel has essentially said that its military is continuing to strike these different targets in Iran this evening, will continue to do so. There is no sign that events that have taken place this evening have changed that. And certainly the big question now really, though, has been, will Iran carry out further retaliation, both towards Israel here, but also to potential other US bases in the region? And of course, as John was referencing there, how does the US respond? Do they take this message of the fact that no US personnel were injured or hurt in this? Do they take that as an indication to not necessarily respond at this point? Or is there going to be further escalation? This is something people in the region are waiting for.
I do want to see just something on the ceasefire thing quickly. I just want to watch the end of this to see videos and stuff as well. I want to see something to do with the ceasefire because there's stuff around how Iran haven't adhered or Israel haven't adhered to it, which sounds about right, to be honest, because they're two countries that I feel like are primed to not agree to the ceasefire agreements.
Oh my God.
Oh my word.
Well, Helen Markey is a school teacher who was on her way home when she took that video of the skies above. And Helen,
I was not paying attention.
Well, Helen Markey is a school teacher who...
Oh my God.
Damn.
Oh my word.
Well, Helen Markey is a school teacher who was on her way home when she took that video of the skies above. And Helen's safely now at home. We can speak to her. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Just tell us about a bit more about what you saw, what you heard, and what...
Okay, so this is about this. Now, ceasefire, Iran, Israel. Let's see. I guess like a little update on this. Was it? I think BBC again. They posted something recently-ish about it. Iran denies reports of ceasefire violation.
In the past half hour, news about a missile attack by Iran on Israel has been denied by an armed forces general in Tehran through state television.
Israeli military had earlier said it had detected launches from Iran, to which the Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said Israel would be responding forcefully.
Damn.
Well, this all comes hours after a ceasefire between the two countries took effect. American President Donald Trump took to social media overnight to state the ceasefire is now in effect. Please do not violate it. Before signing off, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States.
Here we go.
President Trump's ceasefire announcement coming just a few hours after Iran launched missiles at a US airbase in Qatar. That was in response to American strikes on its nuclear sites at the weekend. There was a statement from Iran. It said that 6 missiles were launched. That's the same number as used in the American attack on its nuclear site in Fordow, you'll remember.
Well, the comments from all 3 nations follow 4 waves of Iranian missile strikes against territory. But Israel's defense forces say 6 rounds of strikes hit the country in a 2-hour time span. These are the live pictures from Beersheba, just south of Tel Aviv, where we are. It's one of the areas that was hit. Rescue workers say 4 people have been killed.
How have only 4 people died from this? That looks like a fucking demolition job.
People across Israel were woken early to the sounds of missile alerts on their phones. We had 4 successive alerts on our phones, warning us and warning millions of Israelis to head to shelters. I'm going to show you now the moment of a missile strike hitting that southern town of Beersheba, a warning that you may find it distracting.
Damn.
The emergency services say among those who died were a woman and a man in their 40s and a man in his 20s. They were all in their safe room at the time that the missile hit.
Jeez.
Reports from Iran, quoting a regional governor in the province of Gilan, say that 9 people were killed early on Tuesday in Israeli strikes there.
So these are just all civilians dying, isn't it? It's just people. I mean, that's fucking hell. But it's just civilians all the time in Iran and in Israel. Bloody hell.
Live now to our correspondent, Dan Johnson, who is in Jerusalem. Dan, just bring us right up to date, first of all, with that Beersheba attack, and also with the allegations of Iranian missiles into Israel, into northern Israel this morning.
Yeah, let's try and talk you through the timeline here. Israelis were woken up by air raid sirens sounding at 5 a.m. this morning, told to take shelter because of that successive waves of different Iranian missile attacks, 6 of them in total that hit different parts of the country. Most of the missiles intercepted by the air defense, but some of them able to get through, and at least 1 direct hit in Beersheba in the south of Israel. That is where 4 Israelis were killed. There are more than 20 people injured in that part of the country, and emergency teams had to conduct a big operation there, going through the rubble, trying to reach those casualties. So that was all happening very early this morning, just as Israelis were reading the news that a ceasefire had been proposed and apparently agreed. There was no confirmation of that by the Israelis for quite a few hours, but at 7 a.m. local time, after that wave of Iranian strikes, the skies went quiet and it did seem like things were calming down. Then after that, we got the confirmation from the Israelis that they had agreed the terms of this plan. There was a question about exactly when it would come into force, but the Israelis said they were willing to sign up to it, having achieved their aims in terms of eradicating the threat of Iran's nuclear program and the ballistic missiles that have been fired repeatedly towards this country over the course of this conflict over the last 12 days. But then, just about an hour after that, the air raid sirens went off again in the north of Israel around Haifa, and that is when this single Iranian missile was fired, the Israelis say, after the ceasefire and in breach of it. Now, the Iranians are denying that. So what's gone on here? Is there some sort of misstep, some miscalculation, some rogue launch that the Iranian command hadn't actually ordered? It's unclear. The Iranians denying it, but the Israelis are taking it as a deliberate violation of the ceasefire. The defense minister has...
Again, I feel like these are the 2 countries that are professionals at not following ceasefires. Let me see.
This morning, Weira, just bring us right up to date with the...
only 4 people died from this? The buildings fell apart.
Scene there.
Yeah, well, this is, as you say, Beersheba. It's a city of about 200,000 people, so a big city in the south, just in the Negev desert. But it has been struck several times over the last couple of weeks, and this was the scene of the latest strike at about 5:45 local time this morning. If I just step back, and Alon, the cameraman, is going to show you the continuing rescue work going on behind me. There's a ladder going up to the top of the building there. Now, there were 4 people killed inside that building. I've just been speaking to the head of the Zaka search and rescue teams here. One of their members is on that ladder up there now, and he told me that the 4 people that were killed, at least 3 of them were inside their safe room. So they were observing the missile warning. They were inside their safe room when this building, this residential building, took a direct hit from what appears to be a ballistic missile. It's a massive, massive bomb site. There's been superficial damage in the areas around it. Many shop windows, many house windows have had their glass put out.
Jesus
Buildings
Christ.
around here are all damaged, and there is a search and recovery operation up going on there as we speak. So this happened technically just before the ceasefire came into place, but of course after the other missile alert which Dan mentioned, the Israeli Defense Minister said that there would be now powerful strikes against regime targets in Iran. So it's a big question whether this ceasefire is going to hold at the minute. But
damn, I don't think it's going to hold then. I mean, this was an hour ago from when I'm doing this reaction. This will be posted in like 4 hours time, 5 hours time from doing this reaction. So a lot's going to change, I assume, in that time frame. It really shouldn't surprise me if Israel just did a false flag and blamed it on Iran. Fairs, bro. This is what Israel was doing with the ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel. Yeah, they're just, let's be real, they're both just as bad as each other in this sort of situation. Social media, ceasefire by Trump, what kind of diplomacy is that? Israel is looking for a reason to violate the ceasefire deal. I mean, look, I was thinking to myself, like, how has he got a ceasefire from this situation, Trump? Like, he was saying there's a ceasefire, this and that. And, oh, this is really, really new. Let's check this out. I don't even know what I was saying now. I've lost my train of thought.
President Trump has been speaking in the last few minutes, just as he left the White House on the way to Joint Base Andrews. Just a very short ride by helicopter. The helicopter about happy, he said, with Israel then Iran. Let's have a listen to those remarks.
They didn't have to unload, and I didn't like the fact that the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot, and now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either. All I do is play both sides. I'm going now, as you know, to NATO. Some of you are going with me, and I think it's going to be successful. We'll see. I'll let you know.
Are you going to see the agreement? It's a new dawn in the Middle East. Thanks to the agreement you managed to achieve. What are your future plans for the region, for Saudi Arabia, Israel, Gaza, the hostages?
Look, you're asking me about women in the Middle East. It's getting a lot better. Things are happening at a high level. As you know, Saudi Arabia's done a really good job. It's coming out far faster than I thought. So we're very happy about what's happening with women in the Middle East.
No, I'm talking about a new dawn in the Middle East that you managed to achieve last night.
Yeah.
The region is going to a new place with this agreement. Can you tell us what your future plans for Gaza, for the hostages?
Yeah. It's a new dawn. I appreciate the question. You're very nice. Who are you?
Thank you. I'm Neria Kraus from Israeli Channel 13 News.
Well, we have to have Israel calm down because they went on a mission this morning. I got to get Israel to calm down now.
Do you get to speak with Prime Minister? Did you talk to Prime Minister Netanyahu last night?
I speak to everybody.
You urge both sides not to violate the ceasefire, but reports coming from the region suggest that the sides accuse each other for violating the ceasefire. So
I think they both violated it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm not sure they did it intentionally. They couldn't rein people back. I don't like the fact that Israel went out this morning at all, and I'm going to see if I can stop it. So as soon as I get away from you, I'm going to see if I can stop it, okay?
It's got to be mad having this much power, bro. Like, you're literally just there, like, as a top dog, trying to orchestrate what's happening. Like, yeah, I would not want to have this as my flipping job, man. I'll be real.
I think it's been completely demolished. I think the reason we're here is because those pilots, those B-2 pilots, did an unbelievable job. And you know, the fake news, like CNN in particular, they're trying to say, well, I agree that it was destroyed, but maybe not that destroyed. You know what they're doing? They're really hurting great pilots that put their lives in the line. CNN is scum, and so is MSDNC. They're all, and frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that. Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated, and the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots, are after me. They want to try and demean me. Iran will never rebuild its nuclear. From there? Absolutely not. That place is under rock. That place is demolished.
I haven't seen what they've done to it. I know what they aim to do, but I haven't actually seen the sort of after effects of the bombing of the nuclear regions, the nuclear program regions where they were sort of built underground, etc.
B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon, and they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone. But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really are. You're real losers.
I can't hear what half the things are being said.
You're gutless losers. I say that to CNN because I watch.
He just hates them, bro. He's like, fuck the Israel-Iran stuff. He's just beefing with CNN and stuff.
I have no choice. I got to watch that garbage. It's all garbage. It's all fake news. But I think CNN is a gutless group of people. And the people that run it, nobody even knows it's been sold so many times. But the people that run it ought to be ashamed. MSDNC, a guy named Brian Roberts, he heads it. He's a disgrace. He's a weak, pathetic disgrace.
Israel says that Iran violated the peace agreement, the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
He actually seems like he's playing both sides from what he's saying here, which is really interesting because I feel like he's definitely quite pro-Israel in terms of, I think that's just the US, right? A lot of people in charge are very pro-Israel because there's a lot of people from America who live there and stuff. But it seems like he's actually kind of siding in the middle based off what he's saying. I mean, what you say and what you do are two different things, right?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that.
Well, there we go. There's a little update on the situation. This is going to keep evolving as the days move on, but yeah, this is the most recent sort of thing that I could see updating it, to be fair. This is literally 20 minutes ago, but yeah, let me know your thoughts on this. Obviously, it's a very touchy subject, and I know people have differing opinions, but I guess all we can really hope for is basically just the most minimum loss of civilian life, obviously, but yeah, I guess we'll see what happens, but that's pretty much it. Until next time, peace.